Hey guys, so today in this video we are going to be comparing a genuine losi 5T to a Rovan LT and which one you should buy. Should you go with the genuine losi or should you go with the clone that is like $1,000 cheaper? First I'm going to tell you my opinion. I'd buy the Rovan because saving $1,000 is it's definitely worth it. But I'm going to tell you what you should change immediately on the Rovan if you do go that route, and what the actual quality differences are between the two trucks, because I obviously have both right here, right? Which you can't tell that this is a Rovan because of the crap that I have on it right now, but I'll pop the top off and I'll have a look at the losi and the Rovan. Alright, so in comparing the two trucks, obviously they're not stock, but what I'm going to be comparing basically is quality of plastics, wheels, tires, the bearings, the components that are in it, like the differentials, just stuff like that. So I guess the first thing to start off with is wheels and tires. So these are from a 5B. These are Proline something rathers, Proline fifth scale. They're fugitives, that's what they're called. Proline fifth scale tires. But so the stock rim and tire on the Rovan LT is those guys, which are the copy of the losi Nomads, which were tires that were included on the 5T 1.0, and they're a direct copy. Actually, you can see, so that's a Nomad right there. That's the Rovan LT tire. So literally the exact same tire. And whatever, they feel perfectly fine. Rim's strong. I haven't had an issue with it. I did a full race season on these tires on this truck, and it did perfectly fine. Now, I didn't race a truck like this, by the way. I took all the good crap off of this truck, put it on that one, and yeah, anyways, that doesn't matter. But the tires, wheels and tires on the stock truck, perfectly fine. For the Rovan, same as the losi 5T 1.0, they're the same quality, in my opinion. Now we're moving into... you know what? I'm going to go with the body fitment. So, stock on the Rovan LT, there was some issues, actually, with it, with the body fitment. So, on the cage on the truck, in here, you have these grooves here that are supposed to sit in here, flush up against up front. You know, same with the 5T. And they did not. They were a little back, and then when you put the body on, you had to like go underneath and pull that forward to get it to fit properly. Where in the 5T, you don't. Also, I just noticed the difference between the parts, and maybe this is why was having that issue with it. But the fitment of the cage on the truck was not the best. Now, if you go to the plastic quality of the Rovan plastics is okay. It's a very flexible plastic, right? Which is what you want. But you can definitely tell that the losi's plastic is a much higher quality. But is it really that noticeable? I'm gonna say no. But take it how you want. Now we'll go with the drivetrain. Actually, no, I'm going to go... So, shock towers, the aluminum, feels like really nice quality, right? I have bent this rear shock tower before, and it's been replaced. So, it's definitely not the strongest. Now, I don't know, compared to the losi shock towers, they're both look like the exact same thickness. I don't know if it would have happened on a 5T as well as the Rovan. Like, I don't know if it in the same situation, that tower would have bent same as this one did. But I did bend one, so that is worth noting. Now, shocks, they feel okay. They're kind of stiff, not nearly as buttery smooth as the 5Ts. So I got this truck brand new, and this truck I rebuilt, so it's basically the same as brand new. But these are a lot worse than the 5T shocks. 5T shocks are much more smooth, buttery. Maybe if I rebuilt these, it'd be better, but and put in like a good diff fluid, or not diff fluid, shock oil, blood them, whatever, because I don't know what's in this. And then, yeah, so that's kind of the quality of those. Bearings, turnbuckles, all that stuff, they all feel fine. They're definitely not as strong. I did end up actually breaking the bottom of a shock in the race, in one of my races. Luckily, someone had a losi spare, so pop that on, no problem. The chassis is also fine. All the machine marks, cutouts, all the recesses or whatever. I can't think of the proper word, but all the holes in the bottom of the chassis are fine. They all line up well. All the screws tuck up in there perfectly fine. So quality there is fine. Same with the 5T. It's the exact same thing. Obviously, this is higher quality, but in my opinion, same quality there. Now, the grade of the metal, I don't know if 5T is a little stronger. I imagine it's stronger metal than this, but, you know, who knows? Now, the drivetrain in this truck stock comes with a 36cc Rovan, at least this one did, 36cc Rovan engine with one of these Rovan clutches, which in my opinion are awful. I think they're like an 8,000 RPM clutch compared to these, which I believe is a 5,000 in the Zenoas. So stock Rovan truck, the clutch engage is really late, feels kind of lazy and slow considering it was a 36. So as soon as I got this truck, I bought a Zenoa G320 RC with it as well. So basically pulled that motor out, put it in my DBXL, then put the G320 in here. And the stock Rovan truck, pardon me, does come with a tuned pipe as well. But as you can tell, it's not on here, nor is it on this truck. So here's the stock Rovan pipe, and it feels nice and robust, right? Like the metal feels fine, the welds are all pretty decent, didn't leak anywhere. Like I don't know, it sounded really nice, it was pretty sick. But I ended up breaking, there's a mount here, it's supposed to go vertical, and then it bolts onto the motor, I believe. It bolts to this point here. But that ended up snapping in one of my races. This mount ended up losing. So basically all that was holding my pipe on was the coupling onto the header, which obviously didn't do so well. I'm just going to put that back up there. So the pipe ended up breaking, partially my fault because I did not have that other mount on, but it did break. So that sucks. So I ended up having to, someone luckily had a stock can, so I threw that on to keep going. Air filter and everything like that, perfectly fine in the Rovan, not ideal, but whatever. Air filter cleans the air. Now, one thing I did notice with this, I can actually see that's a lot of play there. I'm getting a little sidetracked. So the diffs did not feel too great when I did get it. Like straight out of the box, they did not feel amazing. I left it how it was. Took it to, I can't remember if it was a track day or if I just drove it around, but I noticed there's a lot of like fluid, in a line like right here. So, I did some looking around in the truck, and I noticed that this diff was leaking. It was all that fluid was coming from this diff. So this is a 2-piece aluminum diff compared to the losis, like the stock plastic ones, which you're like, oh, sick, it's a already upgraded aluminum case, so it should be stronger. But the thing is the very front, the losis are a 1-piece, so this piece is 1 piece, and then you screw on your spur on it. But these you bolt the face on as well, so it's a 2-piece, or 3-piece, I guess. But there's no gasket on that face, so you can crank those screws down as tight as you want, which I did, and fluid still all comes out. So there's just no gasket, which is garbage. Like, why would you not have a gasket on that? Could put some gasket maker, and I'm sure it'd seal, but I'm just leaving it because I'm either going to sell this truck, or if it doesn't sell, I'm going to beat the living hell out of it. So there's that. And then the rear diff in this does not feel very nice, like, at all. I don't know. It just, maybe there's no fluid in it. I really should take this truck apart, but I'm not. But it just doesn't feel very nice. This diff does not feel very good. Front diff feels fine. So I guess you'd say 1 or 3 diffs is good. Servos, stock Rovan servos, they work okay. Steering's not the most torquey. It's not the best servo for it, but it does work. They still work, obviously. They're still in the truck. So yeah, there's that. But I also just noticed too when I was playing around, there's a lot of movement in that dog bone. So I don't know if I blew out a bearing or something or what. I'm going to see if it's the same in the losi. Not nearly as much play. See, that's a considerable amount. And the brakes on this also. So stock in the losi 1.0s. I don't know about the 2.0s. There is a little spring on the brake, so when the brake compresses, it pushes back open. So those springs came stock on here, where the 1.0 it did not, and I'm comparing this to the 1.0, which is a must upgrade, because you hit the brakes and they stick, which happened to me a couple times during the race. Even with the springs, there's something weird going on with the brakes still, so I don't know what's happening here, but anyway. Gas tank was also perfectly fine. No issues with it. Same quality as a losi. It's probably the exact same tank, to be honest with you. They're probably from the same manufacturer. One thing is my lines were really, really short, so they're cutting it close to make it. I don't know if you can see, but it can't go in the mount because it needs to be. They needed to get more fuel on, but they didn't. So basically, I would go with a Rovan truck over the 5T, purely based on you're saving like, it's near $1,000 Canadian anyways. So I don't know, it's not the same quality as one of these trucks, the losi, but it is still a very high quality truck, and this honestly performed very, very well when I did race it on the track. But well, I'll compare it to this a little more next year, because this, I just built this, but it did feel perfectly fine. Took the jumps well. Yeah, I didn't really break anything, and it beat the living hell out of it when it was on the track. So I don't know, it's not too bad. The only real thing, I guess, you know, is swap out that crappy 36 with the Zenoa G320. Leave the stock pipe on there, do a couple other upgrades, drive it, and you should really be good, other than, you know, maybe this diff and the other diffs. But you may have, this may be just a bad luck thing, and they still work. So I'm sure if I took it apart and went through it, I'm sure it just needs a different fluid, which I have up there. So maybe I'll do that one day. But in my opinion, I would still go over the Rovan over the losi 9 times out of 10, because this truck, just the price is just, it's astronomically cheaper than the losi. But yeah, I don't know, that's up to you guys to decide. But in my opinion, this truck is still worth it. It does suck that it is a direct clone from a company. They're literally copying it and profiting off of it, but it is what it is. As a consumer, like, those companies are so big, like Horizon Hobby now owns losi, so they're so big. Do they really think they're missing that much money out of it if you go buy a clone? No, I'd much rather, as a consumer, save my money and put it towards better things, like upgrading the truck or whatever the hell it may be. But as a consumer, who cares if it's a clone or not? You save $1,000. So I don't know, take it what you will. But also at the track, no one even knew this was a clone. No one said anything. They didn't notice it. I let a few people drive it, and they said it performed very, very well. So yeah, take it what you will. It is what it is. I like it. The only reason why I'm selling it, because I did end up buying a genuine losi, and I kitted it out to the 9s, as you can see. So yeah, anyways, hopefully that kind of helped clear it up, and I shed my opinion on the Rovan versus losi. Yeah, I'd buy this truck any day. Spend the money on the motor and still have extra money to get upgraded servos and whatever else you may want. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helped you.